Hey guys, Rex here. The duration of the coming crisis is unknown. So you have to have your system redundancies in place ahead of time to make sure you can maintain your ability to shoot, move, and communicate. That's shoot, move, communicate, and sustain. Remember that. Hey guys, Rex here. I got some news in from a friend of mine, Mike Riley. He was on SEAL Team 1, a sniper, on some stuff that makes it a lot more easy to standardize some of your systems, particularly rifle optics for precision applications. He, being a sniper on SEAL Team 1, he's pretty familiar with how that works. Also, if you've been attending any of our training on the Patreon classes, or if you've done Armed Retainer 1, Partisan Hunter 1, or are taking any courses from my bro Saw, Survival Application Weapon Systems, check it out on Patreon. I'll leave a link below for you. But we talk a lot about the standardization of certain equipment for very specific reasons, not just to be uniform. And there's reasons the militaries do that and groups do that. It really comes down to logistics. And also, if you're talking about rifle optics specifically, which is kind of my forte, right? He has a series that's very good. Saw has a series on low power variable optics that's really good, that kind of explains these things, and this applies to extreme long range or long range shooting as well. But optics are in the equation of shoot, move, communicate, and sustain. The shooting part, in all reality, if you're really doing the job, if you're not just on a flat range all the time, if you're actually doing the job that my buddy Mike Riley would have been doing, a SEAL sniper, or my brother Saw would have been doing, which is Green Beret sniper for all those years, the shooting part is less than 1%. Far less than 1% actually shooting. The move part, you got to have stuff that's rugged enough to be able to take that environment, and the footprint and stuff like that becomes a factor. But something that's going to be able to move with, communicate. Optics are primarily a communication tool. Saw expounds on that on his training. I talk about it a lot on Patreon too. It's just a fact. You have to be able to have standardized systems within your group so that everyone has the exact same language you're speaking. If you're trying to reference a target, TRPs, target reference points, and one guy's speaking Russian, the other guy's speaking French, you're not going to talk. You're not going to have very streamlined communications. Being able to look at the reticle, whatever you choose, if it's the exact same deal, just having a standardized reticle by itself is a huge advantage because you streamline communications hundreds of percent points. Like, it's a big deal to talk someone on the target, or there's other techniques you can utilize with 2 or 3 shooters when you double or triple up on target. If you all have the exact same reticle, your shooter-spotter communication is extremely refined. More information on that, I'm going to send you over to Survival Application Weapon Systems channel, Saw's channel. I'll leave a link below for you guys. Really, really important to understand how that works. So shoot, move, communicate on a scope is huge. It's a big, big deal. You have to have the same sheet of paper. And then sustain, which means that if you are able to sustain that item, being that optics specifically are very fragile instruments by nature. I've got the expensive ones, I got the cheap ones, they're all fragile, okay? I run Night Force, Schmittenbender, Steiner, IOR Valdata, all the top end stuff, all the bottom end stuff, they're fragile. It's just a fact. You need to have redundancy in your systems if you want to be able to sustain not just the scope itself, but the systems. Because if your scopes go down and now you're using different equipment with your team of guys, with your family, or with your compadres, it's like the Tower of Babel, as my bro Saw would say. Like, you're talking Tremors 3, this guy's talking, mill grid, this guy's talking minutes of angle, this guy's talking like, where is it at on the duplex? It destroys not only just that compatibility between parts, but it destroys the entire system as it was intended to be working with a multitude of people. Now, if you're by yourself all the time, then the bigger part of that equation would be the sustain part, in which case you want to have enough duplicates of whatever you're using to be able to sustain at least your own personal system. The communication part, well, if you're by yourself, it's not a big deal. The sustain part becomes bigger. Shoot, move, communicate, sustain, right? The communication part is especially huge if you're working with other people, right? You have to speak the same language. The challenge with rifle optics is they're really expensive to get stuff that actually works. So Mike Riley called me yesterday. Yesterday's my rest day, right? Super tempted after the sun went down to go ahead and just share with you like what's going on, but like I have to be obedient. I'm going to take the full day off and guard the corners of it. So here it is the next day, and I'm telling you now, it's a little bit late, but hopefully it's not too late for you. They have a big deal they brought the price on the Arkin SH4 Gen 2s, which actually are still my favorite of those. If you haven't seen them, I did a lot of reviews on them. I use them on my 50s and my Steyr 308 and my 243, and I have one on my 22. Guys are like, well, Rex, why do you use the same scope on your 50 as on your AR is on this? I'm like, hey man, if it's one of these used for this mission, I want to speak the same language and I want to have compatibility of parts. 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is better, 4 almost does it, right? As many as you can have to maintain those systems long term. Especially when it comes to delicate instruments, you're not going to be able to just like, oh, let me get out my claw hammer and drill and just fix this optic. You're going to need redundancy, okay? And the cool thing about this particular model, if you watch the review, they're rugged enough to where I actually endorse them. So the price being below $300 now, man, I mean, they perform, guys, almost as good for all practical applications. The turrets, the ruggedness, the features, first focal plane illumination, but the ruggedness and the precision capability is really, really rugged precision with these ones. You're getting, man, very close in performance to your expensive stuff. I just took I'm not going to say what brand it is, a $1,200 scope off of one of my rifles I was using for testing, and I put my $300 scope back on there because it's compatible with all my other stuff, right? Like if it happens one day, I have drawers full of extra parts, mounts, screws, all those little wrenches, guys, that you use for the little screws. I order them by the dozen and I tape them to all the rifles and I keep them in all my tool bags. Redundancy is huge. I guarantee you've been to the range before and lost a part or a screw or a tool and you're just completely up the creek. Well, if you can't ever make an order again, right? Or if supplies get stupidly expensive or unavailable due to availability problems or bad things happen, you only have what you have, period. So that's one of the reasons I have 2 different scopes. Well, for long-range precision applications, there's 2 scopes that I've standardized for me and my people. And then for like my carbines and go-to stuff, I've standardized a different deal. We'll start off the carbines. For my carbine applications, just straightforward. I'm not going to do a long-winded like reasons of why everything. I run 1-6 primary arms Griffin mills, if I can find them, or the ACSS Raptor. Okay, that's what I use on my carbines. For the most part, I have other stuff. I have specialized stuff. I have night vision, I have thermal, whatever, right? I got the little 3 powers, which very close to being standardized for certain other applications. But that's what I use for those rifles. What I use for my long-range precision stuff are the SWFA Super Sniper Straight 10 powers, which are under $300, but they're a 30 millimeter fixed power. They're pretty rugged. The glass is okay on them, but they're pretty reliable, okay? That's what I've used for years. That was my standardized option. Now, in the last few years, I've been getting more and more of the Arkin SH4 Gen 2s because they're very affordable and they have way more features than the old fixed 10 powers have, and they're actually a bit more rugged. They're built a lot more solid. They're a little heavier and bigger, of course. 34 millimeter main tube, and they come with the mount. I can share that below, but they're bigger, but they're way more rugged. And you have first focal plane variable power and a couple different things. They have various configurations, minute of angle or mils, whichever system you and yours are using is what I'd recommend to use, but you want it to be standardized. I could never afford to do that with my Steiners or my really nice IOR Valdatas are incredible rifles. Incredible. They're on incredible rifles. They're incredible optics. And they work amazingly well for their intended purpose, extreme long-range precision shooting, man. I just can't afford to have like 10 of them, right? So if you're needing to standardize your fighting equipment, your tools, right? Your your main go-to tools in the long-range precision category, that's what I went to. A lot of guys pick different stuff, but it's really logistics. I look at the raw numbers. It's all about facts, not feelings. It's like, which one checks the boxes in terms of performance? I run all the different models through the different tests in terms of tracking precision, tracking graduation precision, tracking reliability, and the reticle precision, and the simplicity and design of the reticle, the feature sets, the first focal plane, how robust the overall item is. And I don't care about what brand is on there. It has to check the boxes mechanically. I run it through very rigorous testing, all my stuff. I have all kinds of stuff, right? And then it's a matter of how much performance do I get quantified in my numbers, in my evaluations, versus dollars. And in that category, hands down, absolutely beyond, it's just like, for me, I've got a lot of the Arkin SH4s. I have a couple EP5s, they're nice too, but the SH4s, man, they're a little cheaper, but they're really good. I've got way more rounds to those. I run my 50, everything else. But if you want to grab one, I don't know how long. I think the exact message was, Mike sent to me the other night was, they are now $289 to $299 respectively, duration unknown. This guy's like straight to the point, duration unknown. So I don't know, man. I didn't call them yet, but I don't know how long they're going to be in stock or how long the sale's going to go for, but I'll leave a link below. If you use the link that I provide, the Rex 170, of course it supports the channel and all that stuff. But like you get $170 off, which is basically the combo pack. You have to include the combo pack in there. And it's like, mounts and the caps, the quick throw lever, the bubble level, all the peripheral items that come along with the optic. You basically get all that for free. So you save like $170. I think it's the best deal you can find on them. If not, if you find a better deal, then use that. But I just wanted to share that with you guys, trying to do a concise, kind of to the point video here. Let me know what you think. If you already have one and you like them, leave a thumbs up or whatever and say, hey, Rex, I like it. Or if you have one and it's just terrible, then tell us below how terrible it is, right? Or if you use something different, if you found something that has the same features and the same performance for way cheaper, let us know below, right? If you have something that's of better value or any other solutions, another way to think about this problem, or in your field, guys, if you're an auto mechanic and you're like, hey, Rex, everyone needs to standardize their fuel filters to this, this works for everything, then tell us, right? Or if you're a tire guy, hey, the BF Goodwrench, whatever, turbo terrain 5000 tire, everyone in our group uses this tire for all our trucks, because we do stuff like that too. We all have the same little Duracell head-mounted headlights hanging everywhere. We've kind of standardized most of our comms so that we can use the same little antennas and the adapters. And I have a lot of the Nagoya NJ24 antennas or whatever they're called, like a bunch of extras, because I break them. I use my radios throw it when I'm done, So for a guy that uses this stuff, you got to have redundancies. And it's best to spend your money to where you can get the most bang for the buck. So whatever you do and whatever your field is, share that with us below. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the Survival Applications, the SAWS channel, Survival Applications Weapon Systems channel. Incredible in-depth knowledge. Also, if you want to, subscribe to the extremely entertaining TiborasaurusRex Patreon channel. I do 5 uploads sometimes a week. Sometimes it's 3, but it's way more than I do here on YouTube. And I get a lot more honest and Western. And I don't edit as much stuff out, right? So hopefully that's entertaining for you guys. If you're enjoying the Patreon, any of that, leave your comments below. I love to hear from you. Thank you for supporting the channel. And I hope you guys are getting your stuff buttoned up, man. Because I don't know if you're looking, I'm hearing stuff. I'm just telling you. Guys that are still in there, like old sergeant majors, and I know guys that are like 06s and even higher than that in different departments, and everyone's saying kind of the same thing. Get ready for a real bad situation, world war, and that's gonna or the economy. They don't think it can take it. It's gonna be bad times potentially. If not, oh no, what's the worst that can happen? I've got enough of this stuff for my grandkids. I bought it when it was a nickel a piece. Back in my day, I bought all this for you grandkids when they were a nickel a piece. Now they're $1 million a piece. Oh no, what a terrible situation to be in, right? So it's like a win-win, man. Spend your hard-earned dollars wisely, and we'll catch you guys on the flip side. We're taking a look at the SH4 Gen 2 624x50 Arkin. I do have it cranked up to its max power, 24 power. I got my diopter set just perfectly. I'm picking up some decent mirage. Howdy guys, Rex here. Most of you know that for a long time, I've been waiting to find a scope in the less than $500 range that really fits the bill for shooters that are looking for something affordable that also has a lot of those long-range precision shooting features that higher dollar scopes have. And that's a difficult order, especially if you're looking for a zero stop, if you're looking for a scope with variable magnification with a reticle placed in the first focal plane with illumination, along with all the same quality parameters that you need to make it work in a rugged and reliable fashion. That's hard to find, and until now, I don't think I was able to honestly say I can find anything for less than $500 that would feature all those different things and still be affordable. And so, as most of you know, I was a big fan of the Swfa Super Sniper for a long time because of its reliability. In terms of its price range, it was a very good option. It was a fixed 10 power, but it didn't have a lot of those other features. Magnification being variable with the first focal plane reticle is very, very desirable for long-range shooting. So is a zero stop, a decently built zero stop. Also, maintaining quality control parameters to offer such a scope with any degree of reliability or precision tracking is very difficult to do in that price range. And those of you that have attended any of my training seminars or any of our live fire classes, you're probably well versed in the different challenges that are presented in trying to offer a scope with all those features that actually works. However, in the market of long-range precision shooting, there's really been a lot more enthusiasm than has ever been seen before. And with the new market pressure, there's been a lot of different companies that have stepped up to the plate and started trying to compete for that price slot, although no one's really met that price slot and offered all those features in a way that works in real life until now. And so when I first was introduced to Arkin Optics USA, I was, I have to admit, pretty skeptical after looking at the amount of features they have and considering the price. I thought there's absolutely no way they could offer that in anything that would actually work. I was actually able to watch Arkin Optics kind of evolve from their first prototypes, going through their first generation of scopes, which actually were pretty darn nice. And now we are on Gen 2 of the SH series. The SH series is their more affordable scope line that they're offering. And it's actually a very, very nicely put together scope. I'm going to share with you the unboxing video, but I'm here to tell you, before we get started, that after checking this thing out, we did the turret graduation precision tracking test on the Truth Stick, and it actually came out to be well within industry standards, actually beating out a lot of scopes that are over $2,000 and even over $3,000. The Arkin SH series actually had less than 1% tracking error that we could discern, and that's actually very good. I've seen a lot of scopes over $3,000 that are over 2 or 3 or sometimes even 4% tracking error. So that's actually very, very, very good. The first thing I was curious about and the biggest worry I had in a scope in this price range was its reliability and its ruggedness. And so the first thing I did when I got this thing out of the box and inspected it, I put it on the M82 Barrett. And after hammering more rounds than I can really handle with my nervous system and more rounds than I can afford, the scope actually held together. So I was actually quite surprised to see that. I was expecting something would come loose at some point of that testing phase. I wanted to, if it was going to break, I wanted to just get it over with so that I wouldn't waste too much ammo. So I went straight to the heavy forward bolt impulse of the Barrett to see if it would hold up. And also during the middle of my testing, I was able to talk to one of my friends who I didn't even know had ordered a Arkin Optics SH series scope, and he had it on his air rifle for quite a while, and he's been using it to take game for quite a while with it, and it has not gave him any problems at all. So if it can hold up to an air rifle, you can know it's actually a very well-designed rugged scope. If it can hold up to a piston air rifle, it's going to be able to hold up to any kind of conventional rifle you're going to have. So I was very pleased with the ruggedness of the optic. We did move it over to the Steyr SSG-08A1 and do some of our trick shooting. I like to run a drill with 9mm casings. I lay them out there and I try to center punch them. The reticle was very fine for that application. Some people might think it's a bit on the fine side, although the reticle does feature some thicker crosses towards the center dot, which will kind of help you get lined up in a more hasty shot. But this scope definitely is more on the precision shooting end of the spectrum in terms of the fineness of the reticle. Something that I actually prefer for what I do out here where I'm at. If you're going to be kicking doors, you're trying to use this as more of a multi-role scope, the reticle might be a bit on the fine side, but with the illumination turned on, it might actually work. The scope does feature a threaded sunshade, which is a feature I think is actually very, very useful. And throughout the testing, there's nothing we could find that didn't work properly in a variety of conditions. We did test it in the cold weather, sub-freezing temperatures. Everything was still able to function properly. The turrets operated very nicely. This scope is a bit more nicely and a bit more snugly put together than the first generation SH series, which was very, very, very easy to operate in super cold weather, but this one still functions fine. So now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the features this thing offers. Rex here. Today we're going to take our first look at a new model scope that just came in yesterday. I wanted it to be fresh for you guys so I could see what we're looking at here. This is from Arkin Optics USA. And if I remember correctly, this is their new SH series in a 34mm main tube that's very, very affordable. Get to the optic in a minute. This looks like a mount, 34mm, 20 of angle, 1.5 height, I would assume. Let's take a look at that. Okay, that actually looks pretty nice. Okay, so it's aluminum. Look at that. That is brilliant. 18 inch-pounds written on there. 20 of angle, clearly labeled. And which direction it is. I like this. Dreadfully obvious. And we got a pretty good sized Torx head screw that is the same size as the rings on top. We got 4 per ring. The inside is not like rough or contoured or anything, but it does have a matte finish. That should work just fine. And it feels like it's pretty stout. We do have the 3 lugs here for locking into the stain egg rail, the Picatinny. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Now Arkin, they're working on a lot of other projects as well. And I've known the guys for a little while. I've actually been kind of working with them a little bit. When they first started doing optics and just basic, kind of helping with like what are some of the basic parameters that would be looked for in a budget optic in terms of like normal people. What would be the standards they would want in, you know, like what features and what standards would they hold to those features. And so far they've knocked it out of the park. So this Arkin SH4 Gen 2. Okay. What does this say? I'm trying to read backwards. HD glass, first focal plane reticle, 0 stop, 50 BMG rated. Oh, sorry, 50 BMG rated, fog proof and waterproof. Kind of cool, huh? Trying to get it out. It's a very tight sealed box. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's how it comes packaged, at least to me. I do believe that this is one of the first models that the other guys took a look at as well. So I will just take this out of here. It does have an instruction manual. Excellent. Okay. You got it packaged in such a way to where, man, it's got a little bit of heft to it, which I actually like. weight is indicative of a high quality precision instrument in general. Sunshade, ocular cover. I'm not going to know how to put that back in there ever. All right, so let's just take a look at the outside here. So the general proportions and configuration seems pretty standard. We do have a little bit of a tapered ocular here. So it's a little wider here than it is here. It's kind of like the Hensoldt style contour. The objective lens comes out. We got kind of a green tint on the objective lens. Coating is the color it appears. Okay, this is a minute of angle version. So this is a 0.25 minute of angle clicks. And the zero stop is right here. This is a feature I like to see more, is coming out more and more. But you basically, once you get the scale slipped to zero, you just screw that in, and then it's a good, solid, very simple zero stop. So we got zero, very clearly marked. You see the two little arrows there. So when you're spinning through, you can count your revolutions, and it comes up. Has a different feel than the original SH series. Just as defined, a little bit more spaced between clicks, it feels like, if my memory serves me correctly. And it goes all the way up to 18, 19, and 20. Okay, that's cool. So you have 20 per turn. It's an even number, so it's easier to count. 21, etc. And you have two sets of numbers. You have the original set down here for the first turn, and your double turn has all the way up here. So this one went up to 26 from where it was. Let's come back all the way down. Okay, it has a lot more adjustment. I'm going to take her down to bottom. So she's now on bottom. And we have the indexing mark for where we're at the bottom. And as you can see, there's ladders here that show you where you're at in your adjustment range. Okay. 1 revolution. 2. 3. 4. Okay, so we had 4 times 20. What's that? Right? 80? 6, it appears, is where she bottomed out. If my counting is proper. And on the windage, okay, you got 0. And you have right and left clearly marked. All the way up to, well, look at that, 10. That's cool. And it actually goes past that, which I don't mind. Sometimes you need a lot more windage than you think. So you can go past the maximum windage showed on the dial. Gives you more flexibility. Of course, you'd have to remember there's a little ladder feature here. It'll show you where the center is. If you see the longer line, I would assume that's your 0 because it says 0 on it. I like stuff where you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out. I do. Okay, this looks like where they fill their nitrogen or argon or whatever they're using to fill it. Nitrogen is a special element. Ask me sometime in private, I'll explain it to you. Why is the sky blue, Rex? Because of nitrogen and other things. Okay, so here's kind of just pointing out, so we got the SH4 Gen 2 clearly marked on here. This is 6 to 24 by 50. Let's try putting on the sunshade. Oh, gosh darn it, I almost forgot the other side. Okay, so we got parallax and illumination. So your parallax does have numbers on this. That's good to have for a reference point. Of course, parallax, you usually have to check it visually. We show you how to do that at the RX 100 and 1000 classes, okay? But we have it marked like so to infinity, 500, 300, 200, 150, and then underneath. You can actually get pretty darn 30, 25. Cool, so you can shoot at your 25 meter target for basic zeroing. And for practicing, there's a lot of practicing you can do at 25 meters, like dry practice. Set up your little toy army guys out there. Seriously. Your little tanks, build a little model town out there. Run through your drills. And you have illumination. I'm going to look through it, okay? I'm going to set the parallax for, I reckon, about 50. A very fine aiming point. Like a really fine aiming point. Man, let me crank her all the way up to 24. Yeah, at 24 power, it's still a very fine dot. And then you have crosses coming off in all four directions that are thicker. Seems like pretty decent glass. And the turrets, elevation and traverse both feel like the same mechanism. Robust is what it feels like. Looks like we got a Allen head screws to slip the scales. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I actually like that. Very cool. All right, guys, stand by for, we're gonna mount this up. Okay, guys, if you want to get your foot in the door before the prices inevitably go up, I heard that the demand is actually quite high for these. I was told that after Black Friday, which is in a few days, at the time of this recording, they're going to have to up the price. I don't know how much they're going to up it. I can't imagine how the scope is going to stay below the $500 threshold for very long with all the different features it offers and with the ruggedness and performance of it. But if you do want to get it for, I believe it's around $400, maybe a little under $400 right now, go ahead and use the links below. It does help out the Rex Reviews project. I was lucky enough to kind of participate in the project early on when they were trying to determine what the market demands in terms of a long-range precision rifle scope. I did try my best to communicate what our community is looking for in a budget rifle scope, and I was very surprised to see that they actually delivered all the different features we talked about for a price point lower than $500. And so if you guys want to check it out and help me verify that these things are in fact working properly, it takes more than one sample size to really pin it down. This thing is looking very promising. All the other ones I've had the pleasure to use so far have actually worked surprisingly well considering the price. And so I think this is going to be probably the new contender in this price range for maybe quite a while. So I hope this was helpful to anybody looking for a good, decent, rugged budget optic for less than $500. Of course, if you like this video, let me know. I will continue to kind of share the story as I continue testing. I'll be using this optic quite a bit more in the future, and just let us know what you think in the commentaries. Please subscribe and hit the like button if you dug this video, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Hey guys, Rex here. I'm going to show you how you can redeem this Rex 170 coupon. Code is pretty easy. We're going to just simply click on the link I'm going to leave in the video description and in the comments. Here's a little link. You click on that, it'll take you to the Arkin web page. You're simply going to scroll down, select your configuration you like. Then you're going to go down here where it says combo pack after you add the scope that you want to your cart. Now you go down to the combo pack and you go ahead and select which ring configuration you want, high, medium, or low, or the rigid precision mount, which is a one-piece mount. Depending on the size of your rifle, the low rings work great on hunting rifles with low profile barrels. The mediums work for most applications, and the high works good if you have the ability to adjust your cheek peak really high and you have very high profile handguards or some kind of custom way you have that rifle set up. Then you can use the high rings. Once you get that selected in there, you're simply going to go in the bottom left here. If you look closely, it'll say redeem your coupon code. Click on that, type in Rex 170 and hit the button, and there you go. You're saving $170. You're still getting this thing for basically the normal price, a couple bucks more, and you're saving all that. You get the mounts and the rings and the flip-up caps and all the stuff that's in this combo pack, the bubble level, the throw lever, for $170 less than you would have before. Hopefully this is helpful. Of course, that supports the channel. I appreciate you using the Rex 170 code, and we'll catch you on the next one. Rex out.